I like this new Mighty Doom update, except there is one thing that has to be fixed or it's just not working out. So here's what's going on. We got the new Mars core level, which is nice, and a bunch of other stuff too, we'll touch on that. This level is a challenge. I mean, if you wanted something tough, if you're like, I'm bored of what we have right now, this is hard. In full epics, I have 8 epics, and it is still a level that you have to fight for. You will die quickly if you are not careful. This is not a free ride. So I've seen it cleared with 4 rare, 4 epic, I believe it was. You could probably do it with full rares if you wanted to, but the point is, it's a challenge. It is a pretty solid map. There are some complaints against it, especially one thing that we have to talk about, such as saying that, oh, you know, these are the same enemies we fought, the same layouts and stuff. So while it does kind of feel like other levels, it is distinctly harder with some new boss action as well. Now, the biggest thing we need to fix too, before we get into the other good stuff, is the loot. Alright, so I have tested this out. You get just fine loot from chapters 8 and 9. Actually, a while back, those were nerfed to be more in line where they are today. You got like 10,000 something from Hell on Earth 2, now you get 9,900. Anyway, the point is, when chapter 10 came out, UAC Facility, a couple months ago, you actually got worse loot than in the home apps. Now, follow along with me. This ties into Mars Core very well, unfortunately. And this is still something that can be changed. So this is something, it's a suggestion, more or less. So we got 48 Battle Pass tokens from UAC Facility instead of 50 from the Hell on Earth maps. And so that kind of throws you off, right? You need 1,000 for a prestige, and then it's like, oh, I am too short, so I need to go make up a map elsewhere. Why would I get fewer Battle Pass tokens when it's a higher map unless there was something to compensate? So we look at the rest of the loot of Facility, and we take a look and see, wow, this is actually worse than the map before it. If a map is harder in a game, if it takes more time, more difficulty, requires a higher skill set and gear, ideally it would have better loot. Now, there was some testing that I've seen here and there, nothing extremely deep, on the drop table, or the pool rather, of UAC Facility, and it doesn't seem to be anything much greater than HO2, which is around 40% at best. So what we have here, harder, more difficult, takes longer, worse loot. And the 2 Battle Pass tokens really makes it tough. So we've had this for a couple months now. There's actually a change to that loot to make it more in line with everything, and it still doesn't quite deliver even after that change. So now we see Mars Core coming out, and I'm like, alright, this is our chance. This could be the loot level right here. And I go in and I beat it, and what do I see? 25 Battle Pass tokens. That's the first thing I see. It's really tough. Then we get about 11,000 coins, which is nice, and the rest of the loot just seems in line with Chapter 9. So here we are, months later, and 2 chapters ahead. The Battle Pass tokens are halved. Every other level has at least 48 or so. Well, once you get into the higher chapters, that is. We're trying to keep it like a apples to apples comparison, as close as I can. And then even Necroval, which is wave-based, has 50, but UAC Facility had 48. But why does Mars Core have 25? This is a legitimate question I have for the developers. Is there something under the hood that we don't know that we're missing? Something about drop rates? I've ran it twice now, and I've gotten 3 items worth, but that's not a large enough sample size to be able to say this map has a higher drop rate or not. Now, if Mars Cores dropped uncommon items, that would be a whole different story. It seems now that there's a push for more rare items. There have been some amazing offers in the store that are bringing the rare items more into the community. For those that are paying maybe $2, $5 for these, getting a bunch of crystals to boot. So this is telling me, okay, chapter 12, 13, are we going to see legendaries? We're starting to push that limit of where the epics are when we didn't even need them before. There was actually a balance change of a curve that had come out with this update. So maybe they're setting this up for legendary soon, right? But we have to look at Mars Core. The problem we're running into here is we have a solid map. It is nice. It's not perfect, as none are, but it is a good, solid map. But the players are not. Hear me here. Follow me along here. The players are not incentivized to play it. In a game that is so heavily loot-based, as this is, if the loot is better 2 chapters earlier. What if we took those 25 tokens, bump them up to 50 on the Battle Pass to make them in line half of an event, which is 100, keeping it steady 50. That would give you at least a little motivation there. Now you have about 2,000 more coins that you get. The amount of coins you get is not really worth the time and difficulty. You're spending about 15 minutes on the map if you got full epics. If you're doing a pretty solid pace, you can do the Hell on Earth maps in like 6 or 7 at a solid pace, not world record, right? So I look at that and I see Chapter 8 is fine for farming. Chapter 9 is good. So why would I play 10 and 11? We've had this 10 issue for a couple months now. I was hoping it would be fixed if the loot is not there. Now, in a game like Doom Eternal, you were able to go back and play those earlier chapters without penalty. You would just, of course, downgrade your armor, which is fine. You could technically do this in Mighty Doom, but you have a limited energy source. You actually need loot to upgrade your items, so you're disincentivized to go back and play earlier chapters, which is why we need master levels. I have a whole video idea that I plan to make on that, so subscribe if you want to see that. So what can we do to the loot? More Argent, more tokens. Now on the flip side, if you push too hard, if you dial up the loot, 25,000 coins, 300 Argent, that's too far. Players don't want to get overpowered. I mean, we're even pretty strong right now, stacking up for that next update that we were waiting on today. So what do? Do you give them more loot? Yeah, but there has to be maybe another way that we can work this, right? Because more loot is not always the answer. That's just power creep. Power creep is when you make a monster that's stronger and more bullet spongy, so you give yourself more levels. Well, the next monster, he's even stronger. You give yourself more levels, and by the end of it, you're level 500 with a 7,000 power gun. You don't want to have power creep. You want to have different mechanics and ideas that are developed in the game. Clash of Clans has the builder base, has Clan Capital, has Clan War Leagues, Clan Games, different elements that I would love to see in Mighty Doom go beyond just single player and into the realm of multiplayer, of guilds, of some kind of co-op or a deathmatch, whatever it may be, something to go beyond the straightforward path. Now, here's the thing. This game is still a few months in. I have been playing it a lot. I am a champion for the game. I support this game. But I do think that if it wants to have the strongest future as possible, make the most revenue that it can, these are the directions from a player perspective, getting out in the community, really just trying to see what people are saying that we need to go. So what if we go uncommon item drops? Or maybe there's some sort of incentive, a new item, a wild card for fusions, to incentivize players to play these stronger maps without overpowering the user. There's a lot of different things we can go about. The update had a lot of stuff in it that we got to talk about. So I guess I'm structuring this video kind of like a compliment sandwich, right? Where you say the positive things you like, the critiques in the middle that you want to see changed, and then the positive things here. Now this is a great update. I still wish that there was a way that content creators could get in and communicate and be able to tell the devs, maybe through the support, what we want to see and what the community is saying. Well, what are we saying about this update? Look at this. There are some cool offers here. I've already bought them. Like $2 for a rare heavy cannon and 500 crystals, and then $5 for a rare rocket launcher and rare BFG and 1,000 crystals? That's insane. They're really pushing the gear there. Now look, this token crate was renamed from the free crate, got a cool little new graphic, same mods and everything else as before, but this is what I want to call your attention to, especially you free-to-play players. Look at this. Coin crate now has a chance to earn crystals, and if we look here, I actually have more loot. It used to give 2,200 coins for me. Now I have a 70% chance of 3k, a 20% of 8k, and a 10% of 30 crystals. Now, that's not actually a lot. It works out to about 1 every 10 days or 3 per day, but hey, it's a 20% increase from what we had before. Now, it's not just that. We come over here to our stats here. We have a cool little thing in the top corner that shows you all the weapon abilities that are added. Really nice. I do wish that we had the multi-upgrade right here, but I hope that comes in a future update as well. Now we take a look at the Slayers. Yes, all the Slayers are now up to 80, which is the max level that we can be now. We'll probably get a new Slayer here in a couple days. And the Mini Slayer is now even with all of the others. Well, a couple of them are different levels, so there's no longer a nerf for using the Mini Slayer. Therefore, Crimson has had his damage brought down as well, but his health adjusted. So all the Slayers now go to 80, with the abilities still sticking in at 70. When we go further, the masteries are upgraded too. Looking good here. We have a lot more in that way. And of course, events are going to be tougher as you scale up with the chapters as well. Another neat touch is that when you prestige your XP, it used to be 250,000 for 10 crystals. Now it's 100,000 for 5. So you're actually getting more crystals on your XP, which also benefits free-to-play players, which is nice. The chainsaw is at a rework. If you want to just check it out right here, it goes straight to the enemy and pulls back, meaning that you're going to do a lot of damage to the enemy. However, that you're going to lose that 6 seconds of invulnerability that you can run around with to get out of a bad situation. Some people like this more, some don't. I miss the strategic element of those 6 seconds that you have to get out of those situations. The aiming is better when it's a single target like this, to be able to hit the enemies instead of trying to aim with the spinning chainsaw. It is more true to Doom to have a straight up chainsaw like that. However, the strategic element is missed and it turns it into a single target crucible. Now the damage, like I said, is super nice on it. And that is if you're looking at the damage number of almost 245,000 with some bleeding there too. However, the problem is that you can't just look at that number to base your whole utility of the weapon around it from the 245k. I'm still sticking with the BFG because you get one charge on each boss without the Samurai and Mars Core due to the over 350 demons there, which is absolutely nuts. Now the rocket launcher seems to have its radius increased back to where it was before, which is nice because it used to be a huge radius and then it got dropped back to a smaller one to where the upgrade was the size of the previous, and allegedly it's back again. The Ice Bomb also has a larger radius, especially with the Hoarfrost option to make it even wider. So there are positive combat changes in this flow. I just really wish we saw more from Mars Core. You can now see tentacles when you go to glory kill them a little bit better, and the Ballista now has an explosion with the blast, which is another visual improvement too. Check out the answers to the 15 most common questions in Mighty Doom that you probably didn't know, and then come to the Discord for free hints and tips. See you later.